marks in the constructive round are Presentation 5, Language and Pronunciation 10, Presentation of Theory and Information 15, Argumentation and Rebuttal 10. The topics on which marks will be assigned in the rebuttal round are Presentation 5, Language and Pronunciation 5, Argumentation and Rebuttal 20. Dear viewers, now we would love to introduce our honorable moderator of today's program, who will be conducting the entire competition and announce the results at the end. The honorable moderator of today's competition is Dr. Muhammad Abdullah Mamun, Professor, Department of Management, University of Chittagong. Now, I would most humbly like to request you, sir, to come up on the stage and take your seat. Before we start the debate, I would like to inform you about the order and time allocation of each debater. Each debater will get 5 minutes to present his or her speech. An alarming bell will ring on the 4th minute and the final bell will ring on the 5th minute. In the rebuttal round, both the team leaders will get 2 minutes each. Alarming bell will ring on 1.5 minute and the final bell will ring on the 2nd minute. Dear viewers, from now onwards, you can not only watch us on your television set, but also on Facebook and YouTube. Tune in on facebook.com/BTV Chattogram and www.youtube.com/@BTV Chattogram. Now, I most humbly would like to request your honorable moderator to preside over the competition and start the debate.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning to all of you. It's my pleasure to welcome you to this first International School English Debate Competition 2023, organized by Bangladesh Television Chattogram. Obviously, we know that this is second round of this competition. And in this round, already it is being announced about two teams, one from William Carey Academy and the other one from Mymensingh Girls Cadet College. And already it is being announced about today's topic. Today's topic is social media is mostly creating a generation of anti-social youth. And the judges are here. So again, I'd like to welcome you to this session, and it's my pleasure to invite to speak for the motion. First from William Carey Academy. First speaker is Ms. Tazrian Chaudhary.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving the floor to us. Honorable Speaker, this House firmly believes that social media is creating a generation of antisocial youth, and we believe that our youth deserves an environment where authentic relationships flourish, where the warmth of genuine human interactions trumps the artificial glow of the screens. Although we believe that there are other factors which also contribute to making the youth antisocial, social media is a primary reason behind it. Therefore, for logical and factual reasons, we establish our position in favor of the motion. Social media. Such an ironic name for such antisocial platforms. The name suggests that it is making the user social, where in reality, it is just distancing away us from each other. In this digital age of connectivity, we have come together to ponder upon a topic that is both timely and thought-provoking: the influence of social media on today's youth. Before we journey into the heart of our debate, let us establish a shared understanding of some of the key words that are the underpin of our discourse. According to the Oxford Languages, social media is the websites and applications that enable users to create or share content and participate in social networking, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and many more. Merriam-Webster defines a generation as all of the people living at about the same time. Youth is defined as normal high schoolers, just like myself. Antisocial is defined by AP Psychology as an act of showing behavior that is different from social norms. So now that I've defined some of the key terms, let us move on to some of the main points that we're going to be talking about today. One of them is cyberbullying. Honorable Speaker, imagine one of our close relatives being target of cyberbullying. Strangers online constantly bullying the person, tormenting him from many different angles, and causing scars on him that are going to go far beyond the online world. The anonymity provided by social media platform has given rise to a disturbing trend of online harassment, which leads to emotional trauma and isolation among our youth. And there are other factors that also include in making the youth antisocial. One of them is the parents. The parents are ill-equipped to navigate the complicated social media, which causes a lack of parental guidance in today's youth, which allows the youth to be involved in many different aspects of social media, which might harm them. And as a result of that, it causes them to not be able to create good and meaningful relationships. And on top of that, the holy artisan tragedy shows that the realm of social media has been infiltrated by terrorism. It stands as a stark reminder that online platforms can be exploited to promote extremist ideologies, driving a wedge between young minds and the values of empathy, unity, and coexistence that our society so cherishes. Social media has far worse effects, like even the sacred practices of prayer that ground us are compromised as social media infiltrates our lives. The attraction of constant digital engagement can overshadow our spiritual responsibilities, leaving our youth disconnected from God. On top of that, to make the matter worse, education, a cornerstone of our society, is being negatively affected by social media. According to a survey conducted by Common Sense Media, 50% of teenagers in the United States have reported feeling that they were addicted to their smartphones. And on top of that, paper leaks and online distractions divert the attention of our youth, robbing them of valuable learning opportunities and limiting their potential and to excel in their studies. Lastly, Honorable Speaker, the very essence of family is at stake as social media isolates our youth from those who matter the most. The precious moments that we spend with loved ones, talking, laughing, sharing stories, are traded for virtual interactions, deepening the divide between generations. Honorable Speaker, are we witnessing the birth of a generation that finds solace in the online world but may lack the ability to cultivate meaningful and profound relationships in the real world? So this helps prove our point that social media is creating a generation of antisocial youth. I would like to end off my speech by sharing a quote with you guys. Virtual connections, distant hearts. Social media, a silent art of isolation. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to invite from a team against the motion, Mymensingh Girls Cadet College. First speaker, Cadet Azreen. Please.
Staring at my iPhone screen as another pair of eyes stared back at me. Tears of joy rolled down my cheeks. Oh, how could I see it from so far if the social media didn't exist? Honorable Moderator, judicious judges, and my dear audience, thank you for giving me the floor to let me say something. The motion of today's debate is, social media is mostly creating a generation of antisocial youth. While my esteemed opponents argue in favor of this motion, we firmly believe that this is not true. I, as the first speaker, will be bringing to light how the youth of today are more globally aware and engaged than ever before. My second speaker will be elaborating the facts, and my third speaker will do the rebuttal. Firstly, I'd like to define and clarify a few points, especially to you, my dear opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, let's broaden our view. Social media is a digital platform which is user-centric and enables communal activities. And antisocialism means activities which harms organized society, cause disorder and create isolation, such as corruption, extremism and many more. So social media is not the sole determinant of behavior, rather it is a tool, and how we chose to wield this tool is what that matters. Honorable Moderator, we know that a coin has two sides, and clearly my opponents saw one side of the coin and decided to forget the other. Lockdown, mask on, stuck in your room with nobody with you. This was the COVID situation that left the world shook only a few years ago. We couldn't go out, we couldn't buy stuff, and even talk face to face with anyone. But what was the Aladdin's lamp that pulled us out from this situation? Yes, Honorable Moderator, the answer is social media. July 2020 saw a rise of 10.5% in the users of social media compared to July 2019. And the next year, it doubled. 47% employees over the world had telework during COVID-19. So it all proves that if social media didn't exist, our lives could have gone much worse. A research published by Pew Research Center shows that 85% teens reported that social media helped them stay connected with friends they don't see regularly. And 70% say that they feel more connected to their friends via social media. So social media truly allows individuals to keep connection with friends and family across the globe. Honorable moderators, social media is not a barrier to real-world interactions. Rather, it is a portal that enriches relationships and encourages you to weave the path of empathy across the digital landscape. Dear opponent, you're saying that social media is keeping us stuck in a virtual world. Well, I'm here to clarify you. Take Greater Thailand and other millions as example. Greater have used platforms like Twitter starting on August 20 and created a thunder in the world with climate change movements. #Fridays for Future. Where children come out every Friday and fight and protest against climate change and global warming. In 2013, the initiative taken by Alicia Garza and two more, #Black Lives Matter, was also a similar movement to bring change about black people in people's mind. And Asian Lives Matter was a similar movement to bring changes about Asian people. Now, I can go on for ages stating the names of these movements, but it seems like nothing will be enough to make you understand that whether you watch a cat meme or reunite with your grandparents is up to you, dear opponent. Even 20 years ago, it was very rare to stay in contact with friends you went to school or university with. But that era is gone. Now, you chat with them, comment on posts, share their reels, love the stories, and at the least, if that person is suddenly gone, you will know about it. And that's how social media keeps the thread of connections alive. And these threads are knitted to a huge net which connects all of us from soul to soul. So, dear opponent, if you're still going to argue with me on this topic, I must say, you really don't know what being social actually is. Because being social is not always about spending heaps of time making conversations. And it's not about fussing over how much time you spend with your family. It's about smiling knowingly at the state of your family who is 500 miles away. It's about that moment of relief where your friend from Turkey posted, "I'm alright. Everything's fine," after the record-breaking earthquake in Turkey and Syria. So let's hold our smartphones high and declare with pride that social media is innocent of making an entire young generation antisocial. With this, I conclude. Thank you all.
Now it is the turn for the motion from William Carey Academy. So I'd like to invite Sanjana Shahnas Saleh to speak for the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving the floor to me. I'd like to begin with the rebuttal first. My dear opponent team said that social media during COVID time connected people all across the globe. Yes, you are right. But at the same time, social media platform causes many children to suffer through cyberbullying and during COVID. According to Grameenphone and Telenor Group survey, about 18% said that they experienced more online bullying since the onset of COVID-19. Around 8% of youth experience online bullying at least once a week since the arrival of the epidemic. That is just one cause, cyberbullying. But you also mentioned about how the self-awarenesses are being done, like Black Lives Matters, the road traffic movement, other things. But do you realize the misinformation that comes with it, and that is hindering the perception of the youth of today and causing them to be antisocial? Think about that. Now, Honorable Speaker, while my team and I acknowledge the benefits of social media, it is critical for us to examine the potential consequences of this digital realm on the youth and their social interaction. One of those consequences being described by my first speaker, cyberbullying, is a destructive behavior that has gained prominence with the rise of social media and online interaction. Honorable Speaker, the parents of a teen named Joshua from Minnesota wrote in the Cyberbullying Research Center, quote, "My 16-year-old son was cyberbullied on Facebook over a period of 8 hours. The event was so traumatic, it caused my son to have an acute psychotic break and to be hospitalized for almost a month. He's changed forever and will never be the same mentally." Unquote. This is cyberbullying, Honorable Speaker. The anonymity provided by screen can embolden individuals to gather and engage in harmful behavior that they never might consider face to face. And the impact, the lack of accountability can amplify the impact of cyberbullying, leaving victims feeling isolated, helpless, and depressed, all of which fall under the umbrella term antisocial. Now, Honorable Speaker, the opposition team might say that cyberbullying could be prevented if parents monitor their children's social media usage. However, that is unlikely to be the case because the parents themselves are engrossed to the social media platforms. Given Facebook's status as the most popular platform, the Pew Research Center delves deeper into the habits of parents on this network. 74% of the parents use Facebook. 75% use it daily, including 51% who do so several times a day. A survey done by Parent Together Foundation found that 65% of the parents were concerned about their children's screen time, and 71% believed that they themselves were setting a bad example by spending too much time on screen. Children are keen observers, Honorable Speaker. They learn from what they see. And if they perceive their parents using social media extensively without setting clear limits, then they will continue to do the same. And the point here is not to blame the parents necessarily, but to show that social media that parents are indulging to, the children will do the same by seeing their parents. Social media is to be blamed for this. Moreover, I bet all of you remember the Holy Artisan Bakery incident that took place on July 1st, 2016. The attack was a green manifestation of the ways in which social media could be manipulated to radicalize and used for recruitment for extremist ideologies. Again, if we post like-minded things and provide a platform for peer interaction in which the vulnerable youth might have the desire to fit in. Now, Honorable Speaker, the fact that an international terrorist organization like ISIS could inspire and direct an attack in a place like Dhaka highlights the global reach of extremist ideologies, which was allowed by social media. Now, social media is not only a bridge between terrorists, Honorable Speaker. It is also a bridge between drug suppliers and vulnerable youths. Due to social media, the youth aren't interested in sports anymore. They don't want to be athlete anymore. They just want to be TikToker, Instagrammer, etc. Since they're getting away from sports, they're more likely to go down the wrong path, and this situation is made even worse when social media is working as a platform for illegal drug trade and illegal transactions. According to the Nova Research Center, teens for ages 12 to 17 spend more time on social networking, so are 5 times likelier to use tobacco, 3 times likelier to drink alcohol, and twice as likely to use marijuana. Through this point, we can clearly see how social media is one of the root causes behind an increasing rate among addiction among the youth, acting as a catalyst for antisocial behavior, extreme antisocial behavior. Honorable Speaker, for this is first, it is creating dishonest qualities among the youth, making them ingenuine to themselves, moreover to the society. And they also miss out on the opportunities to engage with course materials, develop critical thinking, and truly learn. This can lead to feeling of inadequacy, this eroding of self-confidence, self-esteem, and contribute to social withdrawal. In this era of engagement, the impact of social media transcends specific issues like such. And it quietly corrodes our ability to connect face-to-face, our relationship with our loved ones, the ones we call home, and fostering an unintended epidemic of social isolation. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now, it is against the motion from the Mymensingh Girls Cadet College. I'd like to invite Cadet Rafa to speak against the motion.
Imagine the world as a huge canvas where we can paint our expressions, feelings, thoughts, and experiences instead of color. Well, fear no more, because it's not an imagination anymore. It's reality, and it's social media. Most honorable moderator, thank you for giving me the floor. As expected, my dearest opponent has diverged us from the topic, misguiding us, even though our most knowledgeable first speaker of the House has already redefined it. And now I, the second speaker of the opposition team, am here to break down some of the misconceptions left by my teams. Now, my dearest opponent, you've kept on singing the same song, saying that social media was the cause of making the youth antisocial. But let me remind you, my dearest opponent, social media was created in the first place to attribute to your antisocial factors. Likewise, my dearest opponent, you've questioned my judgment on the topic, but let me question you. If social media really does make people antisocial, then why was it created in the first place? What purpose does it serve? And if so, why do 93% of the world's youth percentage use social media. According to UNFPA, 25% submit content on a daily basis. 21% raise awareness on a daily basis, my dearest opponent. So don't even start with mentioning the fact that social media causes cyberbullying, FOMO, anxiety, depression, terrorism, or anything that fits your anarchist, antisocial little society, because clearly your statistics haven't been tended to the fact that among a study of psychology today, within a mere 1,000 teens, 80% have been more connected, 67% have been given support, and 58% are more accepted in social media rather than their physical lives. The fact that you've mentioned the parents' issues, my dearest opponent, the fact that children are now pushing themselves away from their families, my dearest opponent, it's not social media's fault. Rather, it's the parents' fault themselves. It's the parents who dug their own graves, because the fact that they've been pushing away their family is due to their parents not monitoring their child properly. Now, most honorable moderator and my dearest opponent, you may tell me that what if under certain circumstances the parents can't take care of their children properly? Well then, I suggest you tell those parents to go to the back of the app, tap on settings, and tap on parental mode. It takes only 3 taps to monitor your child, and you don't even have to look after them for 24 hours. And the fact that you've even tracked this topic is quite humorous, because according to UNFPA and civicscience.com, only 40% of the world's parents don't monitor their children, while the other 60%, the majority 60% do. It's only either the parent's fault or the child's fault for not being able to handle social media properly. My dearest opponent, you've kept on telling me that social media was the sole cause for being influenced in the wrong way. But let me remind you, social media was the one that created the Movers program conducted by UNDP with over 200,000 social entrepreneurs and youth participants. 9,500 entrepreneurs were created due to this program, and 1,200 enterprises caused due to the youth. My dearest opponent, blaming social media for making people antisocial is like blaming book readers because they'd rather sit all day in the corner of the room reading Harry Potter and talk about the weather rather than socializing. Now, you've sang the same song saying social media was to blame, but you forgot the ones behind the screens are us. It is us that are to blame for social media addiction. My dearest opponent, social media never came up to you and said, use me, come here. No, my dearest opponent, it was us consciously who were using social media. It was us that followed that person who was misguiding us. Social media never made the follow button more attractive for us. Social media was always the one who was neutral. It was us who were misguided. It is not the gun, my dearest opponent, but the man behind the gun. Social media will only come off as addictive once we use it as a drug. So, you're saying social media has caused an increase in cyberbullying or terrorism or anything that influences in misguidance. My dearest opponent, just like how your parents taught you about stranger danger, you have to teach your children about the strange things that happens, the dangers that happen in social media as well. It's the parents' fault for not being able to teach their children properly. It's not social media's fault. I repeat, what we're trying to motion here is social media is not the cause for making a generation of antisocial youth. Rather, it is us for misusing it. It is our fault for not being able to fostering it properly. Leaving that note, I'd like to end here. Thank you all.
Team leader, I'd like to invite from William Carey Academy to speak for the motion, Raskin Sohar.
Social media is nothing but an illusion of connection. Thank you, Honorable Moderator, for giving me the floor. My esteemed colleagues have eloquently highlighted the various facets of this issue, and I am here to reinforce our stance that social media is indeed the root cause behind making a generation of antisocial youth. I will be focusing on 3 themes about how social media is ruining our mental health, physical health, and education. Before I go into my points, let me mention very good, very nice points from my opponents, but surely with some very severe loopholes. True, as the second speaker started, true, we can paint different types of images on a blank canvas. The social media can be used as that blank canvas, but some of those images are dark. some of those images are monstrous, some of those images are crude. And who is watching it? Our own children, our brothers, our sisters. We are watching it. We are being exposed to that crude image. Again, another nice point about how social media is creating entrepreneurs, how people are getting jobs and money through social media. But at the same time, do you guys know how many people are being scammed through social media about the opportunities of job? Social media also helps raise awareness and publicity to shame criminals. Let me add one more point. Yes, it's true, social media can be used as to help establish justice, but at the same time, it also contributes to spreading misinformation. If social media was so good at spreading awareness and news, then why did the government shut down the internet 6 times in 2022? After the Christchurch terror attack, New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern refused to take the terrorist name because she told that the terrorist did his job, his crime, because of fame. And the Prime Minister did not want to give that fame to the terrorist. That's why she requested the entire nation to not spread the criminal's name. When was the last time you walked out of your room to see how your parents are doing? While social media brought the entire world close together, unfortunately it pushed our own family far away. Parents are busy scrolling, children are busy scrolling, and when these children are spending the majority of their day on social media, they are getting exposed to many different types of people. Some are good, but many of them are bad. The second speaker of my opponent also said that social media is a gun. We should not blame the gun. We should blame the user who is behind the gun. Sure. Now, are you guys telling we want to give gun to our youths? We want to give gun to our children? As my second speaker mentioned about the Holy Artisan incident, they had formed a closed group on Facebook where they shared extremist content and discussed their plans. They used encrypted messaging platforms to coordinate their activities and spread propagandas. Aside from terrorism, nearly 46% of teens from age 13 to 17 have been bullied or harassed online. Young people from age 10 to 16 access or shared sexual content or images of cyberbullying or violence that had up to a 50% higher chance of having thoughts about suicide. When we are handing a child a mobile phone that can be used to access social media, we are actually handing them a deadly poison, a gun. Does that mean we should stop using social media? Not really. There are other solutions we can adapt to save the children of our nation. Children who are still in school do not need to have a personal mobile phone. If they want to look up something, they can use their parents' phone. If a child is on social media, the parents should very carefully monitor their children's device usage. My second point, physical health. In earlier generation in the afternoon, the youth used to go out to play every afternoon football in the fields. But now they're busy uploading, snapping, checking ins, messaging, commenting, sharing. Due to the lack of being involved in sports, the youth is suffering from obesity. Stats show that about every 5 adults, 1 is obese in our country. And without a healthy body, we cannot have a healthy mind. Sure, there are great teachers like Mymensingh from 10 Minute School providing educational content on social media platform. But let's be honest, can we really focus on the social media content? Those constant notifications, viral trends being suggested by the YouTube algorithm, funny memes being shared by our own friends. 75% of teachers believe students' ability to concentrate are affected by social media. Before you even know, you get distracted. You fall in the trap of scrolling through social media for hours after hours. Time flies by and you don't even realize. All of this problem lead to one root cause, and that's social media. Social media. Doesn't sound so social, does it? Thank you.
Now it is the turn to speak from the Mymensingh Girls Cadet College. I'd like to invite Cadet Tazria. She is the team leader of this Mymensingh Girls Cadet College.
25 minutes have passed and I'm heartbroken because, learned opponents, you have offered me nothing but a screenless smartphone. Honorable moderator, panel of judges, fellow debaters, and all the teens sitting on the other side of the screen, take my heart. Today, I'm not to debate for the sake of debate or earn votes in my favor, but rather I, for the young generation and for the youth, am standing before you firmly opposing today's motion. Honorable Moderator, our opponent's third speaker tried to vaguely tell us that social media algorithms are designed to be controlling us, but in fact, algorithms used by social media platforms are for showing users what they exactly want to see and provide a much more useful and efficient user experience. And to enlighten you, according to Pew Research Center, 71% of young adults reported that social media algorithm helps them encounter content which connects and inspires them. 88% of them face content which enlivens them. This proves your social media experience entirely depends on you, whether it's positive or negative. I mean, is it unfair to paint the entire social media as the criminal when you are the person behind the phone? The Honorable Moderator, my opponent's third speaker also tried to claim that social media is a main factor behind the various mental disorders, including depression. But I don't get it why they were unwilling to acknowledge that 52% of teens with severe and moderate symptoms of depression say that they find social media helpful whenever they feel stressed or anxious, including 31% of them with no symptoms. Source: Harvard THN School of Public Health. While mainly lack of awareness and knowledge, privacy concerns, and social stigma are preventing teens from seeking clinical supports and mental health acknowledgement, you are still pointing your finger at social media, mentioning your so-called fear of missing out. Well, my second speaker has already mentioned the fact, and you have compelled me to repeat it, that here social media is distinctly assuring them with scopes to express themselves and be acknowledged about mental health. Learned opponents, here your stand simply prove that you're either blind or just pretending to be blind. Shining chairs. So as we have seen, the COVID-19 pandemic has forced billions to go online to socially interact, and thus those social media habits which outlasted the pandemic has now become a day-to-day part of our lives. And online video conference platform Zoom faced 350 million daily users during the pandemic, which is 20 times more than the pre-pandemic record. Facebook had 70% raised in video calls daily, and you cannot deny your contribution in increasing that number. Learn upon it. A survey from 2020 on behalf of Person and Connection Academy asked 2,000 US parents about the new normal of high school, and 68% of students and 65% of parents believe that social media is indeed a useful tool and part of the new high school normal. Learned opponents, it's high time you realize that our ability to normalize the extraordinary is extraordinary in its own rights. So, not to mention how the Arab Springs uprising in various countries in the Middle East showcased the power of social media as a potential tool of collective action and social rights. The young protesters mobilized the streets in political oppositions with smartphones in hands, used platforms like Facebook and Twitter to organize protest and rally support for democratic reform. And far from being antisocial, my dear opponent, these youth harness the potential of social media to amplify their voices and drive real-world impact. And my learned upon a second speaker, when you mentioned about corruption, I'd like to tell you that corruption is basically the abuse of power for personal and private gain. And according to Corruption Perception Index, the most corrupt country in this world is South Sudan, and the highest rate of corruption prevails in African countries. But the interesting part is that African countries are still 20 years behind in using information and communication technology. So if you find a relevant explanation to this case in your favor, please let us know. And my other point, when you mentioned about the parental behavior thing, I want to tell you that you said that the parents are using social media, and so the children are learning from the parents. But I want to say that when did social media tell the parents to come and use it? Social media never forced the parents to use social media, and thus the children are not learning from it, my learned opponent. And I want to say that instead of blaming the social media solely for this antisocial youth, the first step you can take is to take off your rose glasses and start recognizing what is truly essential for us, because social media is a canvas where we paint our digital masterpieces, a canvas that can either foster isolation or spark connection. It's all in how you wield your digital paintbrush. So I want to say that you can share that meme and tweet that pun, but remember, the real world beckons with open arms, ready to embrace you whether you're trending or not. On this very note, I'd like to conclude my speech here. Thank you, Honorable Moderator. Thank you, everyone.
So at the moment, at this stage of this debate competition, there is a rebuttal phase. In this phase, I'd like to invite for the motion's team leader, Raskin Shwar.
Thank you, Honorable Moderator, for giving me the floor again. The opponent had made some great points again. but with again see loopholes. Through our speech, we have showed all the flaws that the benefits that are being mentioned by the opponents have. But my esteemed opponents fail to tell any pure benefits that do not have any flaws while using social media. Therefore, I ask again, what are we missing out when we are not using social media? If we don't use social media, what are we missing out on? If we weigh the benefits and harms of social media, the harmful effects seem to be heavier. As the third speaker mentioned of my opponent team, sure, users are to be blamed for using social media. Users are choosing to use it. So why should we make the situation worse by handing over the phone to the parents, to the children? If we are able to maybe solve the situation a little bit better, maybe 20% better, maybe 50% better, by stopping the usage of social media for 24 hours every day, then maybe we can help solve the issue. It's not a sustainable solution to only blame the users, to only blame the children. Instead, we should help counsel the parents, we should help counsel the students, but at the same time limit the usage of social media. You also asked, what was the purpose of social media? The purpose was money. The purpose was not to make social. While the social media companies demand to bring the world closer, to make this world a global village, at the same time, I mentioned it earlier, but again, at the same time, it's pushing away our own family that is living in the next room. We are not getting out of the room to talk to them. Instead, we are focusing on, as the third speaker mentioned, in being in video calls with our opponents. Thank you.
I'd like to invite the other team against the motion, the team leader, Cadet Tazria, to talk about the topic against the motions.
So, firstly, I'd like to thank my opponent for agreeing with me. Now, the opponent, when he asked me about when was the last time I walked out of the room to see how my parents are doing, I'd like to inform you that I live in Cadet College and not with my parents, and social media is the thing that connects me with my parents, learned opponents. You say that it's the parents' fault for not monitoring their children, but according to UNFPA, 60% of parents monitor their children. And third speaker, you tried to say that. Why are we giving the phones to the children? Why are you giving the phones to the children, my learned opponent? Why exactly are you? Social media is not saying, come and use me. It's not pointing the gun at you and telling, use me. Not, right? And the first speaker, you tried to say that social media is an anti-social platform. I hope my first speaker has already cleared out your confusion. And you have already confined the definition. My first speaker has already cleared it out. And second speaker, you tried to say that it is confining us into a virtual world, but it's not actually. In 1997, the first social media platform was Bolt, and it was created for 15 to 20 years old children to connect themselves. And third speaker said it was an illusion of connection, and to that I say the Bolt and the 6 degrees was created in 1997 exactly to help the young children connect and socialize. And the third speaker, yes, you asked me about what am I going to doing about the notifications that keep coming over and over again. Then turn off the notifications. Turn it off. Why aren't you turning off the notifications? I want to ask you, my learned opponents. So, tell me one thing in this world that doesn't have any flaw. You asked me, right? Social media has the flaws. And you also agreed with me that it also has some positive aspects. So tell me one thing in this world that doesn't have any flaw, and stop focusing on the negative sides of social media and trying to amplify your voices on the wrong sides. With this, I'd like to conclude my speech, Honorable Moderator. Thank you, everyone.
Dear viewers, today on this topic, social media is mostly creating a generation of antisocial youth. There are two teams, one for the motion, William Carey Academy, and the other one, Mymensingh Girls Cadet College, against the motion. We have enjoyed this session, this today's debate, and I believe both the teams, they have tried their best and they have spoken rightly for and against on the topic. And today's topic, social media is mostly creating a generation of anti-social youth. I'd like to give my thanks as a moderator on behalf from this session. This topic is really, really interesting and important for our society. And that's why I'm giving thanks to the organizers, especially Bangladesh Television Chattogram and the others, those who are involved. And from the speaking of these two teams, we have understood that they have made their clear understanding first, and they have tried best to give their strong points, obviously for and against. What we have actually experienced so far in our society, yes, obviously technology is one of the important issues in our today's modern age. That's why social media we cannot avoid. Due to internet, everywhere we have facilities, especially the institutes, organizations, universities. As I have been as a professor of university, especially in the School of Business, what we have been experiencing that our youths, yes, they are involved, because any youth, any part of the world today has to be exposed to the technology available. But the thing is that whether they can use this technology, I mean using the social media platform, by using internet, the technology, they are using rightly or not. So according to today's discussion from both the teams for and against, we have understood that yes, there are many good points, to go for, to exploit this platform. I mean, using the internet, social media, obviously, this is very much available. So, but the thing is, that the question is that whether we can use rightly or not. And mostly they are talking about the parents behind. They are saying, one of the speakers, right, saying that gun is there and ways to use, who is the user. This is a good point. But the thing is that it is from our education. Our education is teaching our youth, to use the weapon and other things rightly. So I believe this technology our youths will be using rightly to get the benefits, obviously. So it is time to announce the result today. Winner team of today's competition is Mymensingh Girls Cadet College. And best team leader is, as a team speaker, best team leader is Mymensingh Girls College. Her name is Cadet Kazria. She is happened to be best speaker of today's competition. So congratulations to the winning team, and obviously thanks to both the teams and the organizers to organize this important session today. Thank you all.
Hey,